Welcome to this lecture. Here we're going to be launching our own EC2 system. The EC2 system is going to be allowing us to add computation power to our applications, and you can think of the EC2 system as the workhorse which is going to be doing all the analysis and query running for us. So let's go over to the compute section. Here you can see we have the different services regarding computing in our corporation, and we're going to be selecting the EC2 service. EC2 actually stands for Elastic Compute Cloud, and Elastic Compute Cloud is going to allow us to run servers in the Amazon data warehouses and have those servers available from anywhere in the world. The reason these servers are elastic is because we can add more servers or remove servers as we wish depending on the demand for computation. In the EC2 dashboard, we're able to take a look at a glimpse of how EC2 is being implemented into our company. So you have information about statistics as to how many running instances do we have, how many dedicated hosts do we have, how many disk volumes do we have, key pairs, those sorts of things. So here you need to make sure whenever you log into your EC2 dashboard as a free tier user, you need to keep in mind that running instances and running multiple instances at the same time and leaving them unattended can cause you to have charges. So currently what is covered in the free tier is going to be you can run one system for a whole month without having any charges, or you can run two systems for half a month without having any charges. Now, if you leave two systems running and you don't take a look at your AWS console, you're going to be having problems with paying for the overage. So just keep in mind about your running instances and make sure you terminate your instances once you're done working with them. Here you can see we have something called a security group. The security group controls how we access the specific systems. So through what manners and through what ways can we access the system, add information to the system, add softwares, all of those packages to our system. And here you can see I have one security group added. And if you don't see a security group for yourself, don't worry about it. The moment you go to launch an instance, there's going to be a default security group created for you. So whenever you come to your AWS console, make sure you take a glimpse at the statistics and then go and do whatever that you need to do and make sure you're going to be running the exact number of instances that you want. So without further ado, let's go over to the create instances aspect and launch our instance. Here you can see we have what is called an Amazon machine image. An Amazon machine image, also called as an AMI, is going to be storing information about the operating system and the different applications as well as software that is pre-installed into your instance. So if you have a Amazon Linux system, it is going to have the Linux installed for us, and it's going to be having these different default software packages such as Python, Ruby, Perl, Java, and most importantly, AWS command line tools. The AWS command line tools allow us to access our server using our bash scripts that we can run from our Windows and our Mac systems. So here you can see we have lots of these packages preloaded, and this is the one that we're going to be going with. Before we move on, let's just scroll through and see a couple of the ones that we want to maybe take a look at in the future. We have SUSE Linux here. This is the enterprise server that is very often used in companies, so this might be a popular choice for you. We have a Ubuntu server. This is going to be a free server that you're able to work with, and if you want to transfer your company over from an Ubuntu server to an Ubuntu server here, you're going to be selecting the Ubuntu. We have what is called an Amazon RDS. So here in the middle, you can see we have this RDS. And RDS is going to be a server that is dedicated to working on the relational databases. And the relational databases are going to be storing all the data regarding the transactions that occur in our company. So for example, purchase data, sales data, all of those things are going to be stored in the RDSs. And if you want to launch a database, you can come here and click launch. You can also see, other than Linux, we also have a Microsoft Windows AMIs. So here we have the Windows AMIs 2012s And alongside that, we have different server packages that we can choose. Here, we're going to make sure that we're working with free tier only. And in this training, you're going to see this over and over. I'm going to make sure that you stay in the free tier so that you're not charged additional. Here, we're going to go over to select. And we have chosen the Amazon Linux AMI. In this page, you're going to be able to add the different kinds of computation power to your instance. So the computation power is going to be seen by the number of CPUs we have and the number of memory we have. So the memory is going to be measured in RAMs units. So say for example, you have say 8 GBs on a MacBook. If you have say 16 GBs, it's quite powerful. Usually you're going to be having something like 8, 16 or 32 on your personal computers. It goes all the way up to about 1952. So this is the largest that you're able to issue. And this is honestly speaking very, very powerful. Alongside that, you have different cores that you can be running. So you can divide out your work on top of that CPU itself. So these are the two measures which you're going to be using when you want to select the power that is behind your instance. The only eligible instance for the free tier is going to be the T2 micro instance, and we're going to be going over with our T2 micro. Let's go over to configure instance details. We have the details here which are going to be associated with the number of instance, purchasing, and the networks associated with that instance. So here you can see something called an auto scaling group, and you can specify the number of systems here. Now, my advice to you is you want to go with just one or two systems here, and then you want to attach what is called an auto scaling group. And basically what this is used for is when I was discussing the elastic aspect. So say for example, you're running your computations and you have just two systems. On those two systems, the load is 80% on each of them. And the moment you say reach 90%, you want to just add on another instance to be sure that you're able to properly manage all of the queries that are coming. And maybe in the future, the queries may exceed the limit of say 95%, 98%, and you want to add another instance to basically ease the load on the other two systems. If you add a auto scaling group, the auto scaling group will allow you to specify these thresholds and say, the moment we reach 90% CPU usage, please add one more instance and then continue running those health checks. And again, if we reach 90%, then add another instance, so on and so on. Also, what you can do is you can specify maximums and minimums. So usually you're going to be starting off with say one or two instances. So you can say, the number of instances, one or two are going to be the minimum. And then from that, you can move on and on. Now, the auto scaling group not only works in the positive aspect where it adds on instances, it can actually remove instances as well. Say, for example, you're only using 30 to 40%, and in that case, you can say, please go back to the previous number of instances so that we're not paying for that extra usage. This is the power of Amazon. It's showing that you're using only the amount of servers and resources that you require. That is a great plus point for corporations which want to decrease the amount of money they're spending on IT hardware and software services. So here we can manage the information about number of instances. We have what are called spot instances. Spot instances are going to be something like bids that we place. So say for example, we place a bid of $5, and if we have a high bid, then in that case, we're going to be able to get access to that specific instance. If we win over the market price, we're going to have access to that instance. And the reason for adding bids is because this is oftentimes a lot cheaper than the regular way of issuing instances. So the problem, although here, is that you can be terminated within an hour and you won't be really getting much notice, and any computations you might be running are going to be left right there, and you may have problems when you're going to be requiring sort of like a dedicated service. If you are going to be having something like you're running a web application and suddenly your bid price no longer is competitive, it's automatically going to get rid of that instance and your service is going to be down, your website is going to be down. You don't want that to be happening. So what you do oftentimes is you specify a base number of instances, something like 4 or 5.